Oh, right. Let me
Do you sound good?
No, we sound tired. We just sound really, really, really tired.
I mean, for me, this is the 10th hour that I've watched wrestling in 2 days. It's a lot even for me.
Are you guys ready for this?
I am good.
Andrew
is phoning.
Yeah.
He's phoning it in.
All right. Oh, Lord.
Sorry, neighbors.
Here we go.
Studio that we recorded.
3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm John.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Ben.
And this is Agree to Disagree.
Kinda.
Well, I'm the come on, guys.
And the show's format is officially broken. Ben broke it. One episode in, just shattered it. We're screwed.
Remember when you invited me to be the third person on this podcast and everything was going to go great?
One episode in.
Yeah, and then you invited us to watch a 5-hour-long wrestling match.
By the way, for reference, in Payback, you're watching both Star Wars movies.
Hey, it's funny because the next pay-per-view for wrestling is Payback.
All right. I have a feeling that this relationship is going to lead to me watching 1,000,000 times more wrestling than I've watched in my entire life.
So yeah, for reference audience, we literally probably 10 minutes ago, if not 5 minutes ago, just finished watching WrestleMania.
Yes, WrestleMania 33.
In Orlando, Florida. This is my 10th hour because I've watched it twice now.
Okay.
Yes, we weren't able to watch it the day it aired, so we decided...
Watched it. Oh, yeah, sorry.
So we decided to watch it the next day. And Ben, being a mad, crazy person...
This is true.
Watched it when it was live.
And watched it again with us just now, which, if that doesn't prove that he's a fan of wrestling, god damn it, I don't know what will.
Look, I love wrestling as much as the higher than average person. But
you watched 10 hours of it in 2 days.
Yes, because
John and I were considering going mad around hour 3.
Look, when I watched it the first time too, I was also like, I was trying to count the matches in my head. It's like, we have 5 matches. So I was like, no, we have like 7 left. I was like, oh my god.
So let's do this. So what we're gonna do, audience, is we're gonna break it down match by match, then do like closing thoughts.
Yep.
So we're gonna go one at a time.
From beginning to end, we're gonna recap the match, what we thought of it, kind of what was going on.
Also, for reference, audience, you missed this. It was me attempting to do the order, and I legitimately forgot about a third of them.
I did too. It's okay.
All right, so let's start from the top. So match 1 of WrestleMania.
Sure, that was AJ Styles, the phenomenal one, versus Shane McMahon, the son of Vince McMahon.
Which that title just makes me want to punch him in the face.
The phenomenal one?
The phenomenal one. Who calls themselves
So, just on a very tangential note, the phenomenal one makes me want to think of like A1 steak sauce for some reason.
He's actually sponsored by A1.
But because his shirt logo has the letter P and the number 1, and on the front of it says if it ain't P1, like the phenomenal one, and on the back it says they don't want none. I'm sitting there like, if it's not A1 steak sauce, don't put it on my steak.
So he's actually advertising a very new form of Pabst. It's called P1. It's like their high brand version. It's like Miller High Life.
Yeah, it's legit just P.
Final, very tiny tangent. We'll get back to it. John Cena's shirt, one of his latest shirts, is modeled after the Pabst Blue Ribbon like beer can.
Really?
Yes, actually.
Why?
Because I didn't design it. It's not.
I didn't design it.
I didn't design it.
So I would actually say of the matches that I remember, this one storyline intro was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I would say Styles had a lot to. It seemed like he had a lot to fight for.
In storyline or in the match?
The storyline seemed pretty well represented at the beginning. I understood. Let me put it this way: John and I understood who were hitting who and why they were hitting them.
Exactly.
And that's extraordinarily important, especially for 2 new people who are brand new to the scene to be like, oh, that makes sense why he's hitting him, and then you were able to give a good explanation, and we understood what was going on.
They did a great job telling the story, and then the match itself, I mean, given it was the opening act, essentially, like you're trying to wet the whistles of the entire how many thousand people were there.
So what was it, like 80 something was the estimate?
It was about 75,000.
Yeah.
Christ.
Now that number tends to be inflated because they include like staff who was there. They
Sure.
count like people in the stadium versus like actual paying like ticket holders. But
Yes,
sure.
sure. You know,
I feel like half of the WWE is based on exaggeration now.
Well, that's true. And
Most.
I will also make the argument as a person who has worked event staff for events that I specifically wanted to go to. That's not entirely unfair.
Okay, fair enough.
Sure, I mean, no argument. But the reason I think it was a great match, fantastic
Yeah.
match. I was going into it thinking that AJ would just carry Shane. It would just kind of it'd be a really rough start. I also didn't think it'd be first, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I thought Owens and Jericho would open up, but it's fine because typically when you open up a pay-per-view, especially one as big as WrestleMania, you want one of your top matches because you want people to be drawn in immediately and stay.
Yeah.
And it did a really good job with doing that.
It
so
reminds me
well
a lot
done.
of the structure of like a 3-paragraph essay from back when we were learning that in like grade school.
Right.
Like you want your thesis to be punchy and make sense, and your audience to be pulled in. This one pulled us in. It was a good fight.
It was a really amazing fight considering you have one of the top wrestlers in the world versus someone who's not typically deemed as a wrestler. He's wrestled before. He's a part of WWE culture.
He's a McMahon. Yeah.
He's a McMahon though. Like he's not known for doing half the shit he did. He jumped and crashed and burned I think 4 separate times.
They look so fucking painful.
Oh, yeah.
Like those. Once again, I mean, we'll talk about this when we get to the later matches. Those collisions felt fucking brutal. Every time he missed and ruined someone else's day, like destroying that announcer table, which we'll talk later, but I think that got destroyed like 4 times.
Yeah.
That looked like it hurt really fucking badly.
Again, it's one of the things we've talked about it in the last episode where it's like, yeah, wrestling is fake and it's staged and it's pre-planned, but like you don't fall into a table safely. There's no like you don't hit a mat and be like, that was fun. Like, no.
Like that looked like it wrecked his arm
Yeah.
pretty significantly.
It was a good match. It was really well done. I wasn't expecting that much quality out of it, and I got more quality than I expected. So awesome.
All right.
Second match.
Second match was Owens versus Jericho.
I actually really want to hear your thoughts on this, Ben, since I think this fight probably resonated. This match probably resonated with you.
This
more
is the
than it
match
did with
I
me and John.
looked forward to the most
Okay.
out of all of them because I think it had one of the better storylines. And it was something so simple where it's just like, hey, like 2 best friends and they split, and it's with 2 of again some of the top wrestlers in the world. For me, I think the match did itself really well. Both Owens and Jericho are great storytellers, and the way they talk shit in the ring and their small, minute actions that don't like they're not over exaggerating anything. Like it doesn't feel like they're acting. There's like, no, I fucking hate you and I'm going to prove it.
Valid.
And they did a really good job. And the one where he tipped or he what's his face Owens got the rope break with his fingertip was amazing.
That was
and
really
it's such a subtle thing, but when I watched it the first time around, I busted laughing. It's just so. It's that small, minute detail that makes a match from like good to like I'm going to remember this match for what it was.
So what Ben's pointing out is there was a moment where I didn't know this. The way that wrestling works usually is if you grab onto the rope, it's sort of like, hey, we're going to take a break for a second.
Yeah, that's a way of putting it. Everyone, take a 30-second break.
I'm using words that anyone can understand. I'm attempting to.
It's great. Continue.
And the way that it was Jericho that did that, right? He did the reach out.
No, that was Owens.
No, that was Owens.
Yep.
Owens did the reach out. He did the finger, and it was supposed to be basically like a callback to a previous match.
The painting was called The Creation of Kevin.
Right.
To give a little bit of backstory, because I think I explained it a
That's
little bit
what I
poorly.
was getting to.
No, it's okay. The gist of it is that during the Festival of Friendship, which is one of the greatest wrestling segments, at least in the last decade, in my opinion. I'm not kidding. This is true. There's a giant painting of the creation of Adam, but they replaced it with Owens and Jericho, and it's them 2 touching fingers in the center, and that's why it's such a wonderful callback.
So many forms of bizarre. And
it actually got referenced in the Monday Night Raw episode. We're actually recording it on the Monday. It actually got referenced where Kevin Owens' finger made the list of Jericho, because which is just great.
That's pretty funny.
It's the continuity that I love. It's the subtlety that I love.
Not even Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens' right index finger specifically fuck that
So
thing.
at this point in the card, granted we're just getting started, but 2 for 2, great matches, held up to exactly what I wanted it to do. It wasn't over the top. It was 2 dudes beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, that was a really
and one dude
brutal
did it a
match.
little bit better than the other one.
Yeah,
That's all it needed.
Yeah.
Moving on to match 3,
Yeah.
the Raw Women's match.
The Raw Women's Division match.
Yes. That, in my opinion, was like the WWE trying to do an ad hoc Power Rangers episode.
It was 3 uniting and realizing, hey, you know what? We're gonna lose if what was it, Nia Jax? Nia Jax is allowed to do anything because she will just ruin us all individually, which, like, fair.
Yes.
I mean, it's interesting because in the lead up to this, the booking for Nia Jax has been kind of rough. It felt like she just got thrown into the match out of nowhere. And so the fact that she had such a prominent role as a dominating figure was quite a surprise and quite a nicely well done.
Well, because it seemed like it seemed like, to me at least when I was watching it, her character definitely seems to be that, like, overpowering. I made a reference to the Big Show when we were watching it. It seems like the overpowering, just, like, decimating force of nature. And they played that off really well. She didn't say much. She was just there and just wrecking people.
Yeah.
And then the other 3 were like, wait, you know what? If we do this individually, we're going to lose. We have to hit her now or we're out.
And they didn't play her like a villain or anything like that. To be completely honest, like they didn't play her like a villain. It was just the 3 other women had to gang up on her, otherwise she was going to win.
Yeah.
Right. Now it's interesting because you guys watch this in a vacuum, which is to say that you really only watch WrestleMania. You don't know kind of the lead up and stuff, and that's not a fault to you guys.
Yeah.
You don't watch it, of course you don't.
Yeah.
Nia Jax has faced every single one of those other competitors and in one-on-one matches, and she's been defeated. And so I found it interesting that now she's like this big powerhouse sort of thing. So
Really?
I hope they continue to book her as this character's like, yeah, now you're gonna need some help.
Well, because she
Like-
totally could pull that off as a character of just like, because they were playing that up the entire time where like all 3 of them came at her at once and she like triple clotheslined them.
Yeah, no,
somehow?
I think it's one of those things where they needed to have that booking for Nia Jax like when she debuted like a couple months ago, and that would have been fine. But I hope they continue to stick with that direction.
No, it was really entertaining.
Ultimately, though, at the end of the match, in order of elimination, was Nia Jax versus when they had 3 people pin her after a triple powerbomb, which is beautiful.
That was awesome to watch.
Sasha Banks got eliminated next by Charlotte with she banged her head on an exposed turnbuckle, so cheat Ric Flair
that
style.
genuinely looked fucking painful.
I talked to this with more of my wrestling savvy friends, no offense. And I didn't think it made sense for Sasha to go out next, but it's just for continuing storyline purposes.
Sure.
And then it ended up to be Charlotte, Flair, and Bayley. And Bayley ended up winning with a Macho Man elbow, which I don't think she's won with before.
Which was boss.
It was super cool. And it was definitely like an obvious callback. Because she came out in this bird suit that Macho Man Randy Savage would wear.
John actually
Which
called
John
as
called
the
out really
Randy
well.
Savage.
I don't know much about wrestling, but that's about it.
Nailed it.
Randy Savage, I got it.
That's
No,
right.
that was a sweet way to finish, especially since her character seemed to be billed as like this super fan who's living her dreams. That
Yep.
she like ends on a move that's like her hero's move is like that was awesome. I liked it.
It was a great.
And I'd like to imagine that afterwards she went to the back and did a bunch of cocaine.
In honor of Randy Savage.
I have to live the part.
Oh yeah.
She just becomes Randy Savage.
Right. Moving on was
Metaphor.
the Raw Tag Team Championship ladder match.
Right. It
Which
was,
was oh sorry.
it was supposed to be a triple trouble match, but became a fearsome foursome.
Wait, pause. What? A triple treble match?
Yeah, there were originally going to be 3 teams going.
What's the
What?
name
Singing
of
a cappella?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the name for the actual trio match?
It's just a 3-way tag. Look, there may have been a better name for it. It
I like triple
look. It was
trouble. It's
okay.
nothing stupid.
Everyone, shut up. It was it was a ladder match with 3 teams, and it was for the belts. Okay,
Yeah.
that's all you need to know.
That was fine.
But
And then-
as John
yeah.
was alluding to, and I kind of alluded to in last week's episode, which I'm glad I got correct. 'cause
Yeah,
a lot
you
of
called
people,
it.
A lot of people didn't believe me. All of you suck.
I imagine this is gonna be coming out late.
Yeah,
and
all
it's
this
gonna
is
be
gonna-
Ben ranting into a voice like you sons of bitches.
Look, this is my episode now.
That's kind of why we brought you.
Oh, I love you,
Anyway,
man.
so the Hardy Boys came back, which was a shock to everybody. Legitimately a shock to everyone. They addressed them as the Hardy Boys, not as Broken Matt Hardy and Brother Nero,
Which
but
I
that's
really
fine.
wanted them to
I wanted
bring.
them to do it too. I wanted them to bring back the Moonlight Sonata theme music, which is what it was before they made their debut here.
Yeah.
But they kept the personalities, they kept the traditional like Hardy Boy nonsense, like jumping off ladders and ultimately just being
That. All right. Side note. Now that we're back here, that may have actually been the most painful looking thing that happened this entire night.
Oh, okay. So context.
Oh.
Do you want to explain it? 'Cause
Yeah,
it
all right.
affected you a bunch.
So Brother Nero at this point, which is what, Jeff Hardy, manages to set up a gigantic, what was it, like 2-3 story looking ladder.
20 feet.
After his brother Matt Hardy sets 2 guys on ladders underneath it. It was Sheamus and Cesaro, and then Jeff Hardy looks at the crowd, gets everybody pumped, and then jumps off it and slams 2 dudes into 2 separate ladders, breaking the one underneath Cesaro and leaving Sheamus to just kind of roll off the other one in, like, agony.
Yeah.
That was the most painful looking thing to happen in the night, in my opinion.
So typically in a lot of these ladder matches, you kind of have 1 or 2 members or 1 or 2 teams just kind of like not pull their weight as much because there's just so much happening where it's like you don't want to be what's called a spot monkey. Or just kind of, you're just doing stuff for the sake of doing stuff that doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
But in the other capacity, like, everyone pulled their weight. Like, I thought, legitimately, like, we had this discussion while the match was happening, where you said, all right, the Hardy Boys have returned. Like, of course they're going to win.
Yeah.
When I first saw the match, I was excited that they showed up. I didn't think they were going to win. I thought it was still going to be in someone else's hands.
Yeah.
But then after I saw Jeff climb the ladder, and Matt is just waiting. He's not more than 6 inches away.
No,
he's just like, Jeff, go ahead and jump,
just...
and then I'll grab it, and then I won't fall off the ladder because I'm not an idiot and don't jump off ladders.
It's not what I do.
Right, that's not my gig. That's your gig. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised they won.
Some brotherly love right there. You can cause horrifying injuries to yourself. We gotta get these belts.
You do you, I'll do me, and we're just gonna continue doing that forever.
Yep.
But yes, loved the match to death. Everyone pulled their weight. There was nothing that was outrageous. I didn't cringe at something too terribly bad. Like, people falling through ladders happens every ladder match. It's the whole damn point.
Yeah, that's why you have ladder matches.
There's been way worse accidents that have happened. So this is actually, nothing went wrong, which is actually impressive.
I think it's just the first ladder match I've ever witnessed, and that's why I was like, oh god, why?
Okay.
All right.
Final thoughts on that? All
Yeah,
right.
no,
Can we move on to one of my least favorite parts of the show?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Let's move on to.
Well, let's have John say it unbiasedly because I'm gonna rant for 20 minutes if I don't.
Okay, so so the match after the ladder match, the awesome ladder match, was the turn. I would say probably the turning point for the entire evening when WrestleMania started to turn on us.
I agree.
It was John Cena and
Nikki Bella.
What?
Nikki Bella.
Nikki Bella.
Yep. And Lucius Malfoy and his wife.
Wait! I thought we decided it was Sith in wrestling form. It's actually Darth Plagueis and Bane. Just.
I'll give the real answer. It was The Miz and Maurice.
Yeah.
Continue.
So you have the prissy Hollywood couple versus John Cena, America's favorite charity boy.
And what you guys thought was kind of like No Name Fiance, which, if you've never seen wrestling, is kind of fair.
I mean, to be fair, this wrestling match was what's Hollywood guy's name?
The Miz.
The Miz?
Yeah, Mike The Miz. Whatever his last name was.
M-I-Z.
Okay, so you have John Cena versus The Miz.
Yes.
And the rest of it is just sort of like their significant others shouting through the ropes,
and occasionally
in classic WrestleMania fashion.
No,
I mean like
also punch
90s
each other.
WrestleMania. Like, I don't know, they didn't really do a whole lot for most of the match,
especially comparatively.
Yeah, compared to after we just saw like a bunch of women wrestlers kicking ass.
Yeah.
Like,
Here's the bit with this Matt. Oh, go ahead.
But then to culminate at the very end of the match, because the whole build-up was about like the Hollywood couple picking on the Cenas.
The Cenas. Well,
they are now.
Hold up.
And they were picking on the fact that everything that they do is plastic and fake, and that John Cena will never get married and all this stuff, and at the end of the match, John Cena proposes to his now fiancée.
Yes.
And it was the dumbest thing I've seen in a while.
Which, like, I don't know. I disagree with you too, but that's also because I'm like, I don't have an opinion strong either way. I'm just like, it was cute. Fine.
So I won't.
Moving on.
A lot of it has been covered by you guys. The one thing I will say is I don't think this was the worst match on the card.
No, definitely not.
Which is really odd to say. I wasn't expecting to say that.
To be fair, and I think this is why you're mad about this is
There's a lot of reasons I'm mad about this.
But clearly the build up was exceptional, and
Yes,
then the
it was.
payoff was very, very boring. It was a lot of Cena just getting kicked around by the Miz. Their new fiance and wife occasionally punching each other, and then them kind of tagging in, and then the cool thing which I liked, which was him and Nikki mimicking each other's moves, which that was cute. I liked that.
At the very end of the match, when they were doing sort of they were mirroring each other, doing the same moves, and it was really cool. That was cool.
I actually really liked that bit. That was and then the match was over,
right?
Which was the frustrating part where I'm like, oh, that's it. All this build up, and then they mirror each other, and then we're done.
The Miz did not get his +5 to kicking out at WrestleMania.
No. By the way, for reference, that was a running joke. Audience, when we were watching it, is Ben stated at the very beginning during the Shane match, oh, it's WrestleMania, everybody gets +5 to their kicking out skill, and my God, was that true?
Yeah, it gets way worse as it goes on, but the last thing I'll say about this is I didn't even think it was a boring match necessarily. Yeah. I think there's two parts that frustrated me, is that Miz put in 95% of the work, as far as the offense, and he played the crowd to nobody's business.
He was good.
I don't know if you caught this, but there is a line that the announcer said. It was Jerry the King Lawler. And he's like, yeah, no one's cheering for the Miz except for that front section and the camera. And that's when Miz went to the opposite turnbuckle off camera and did that same pose. He kept going to the turnbuckles and just raising his hand and just starting shit, getting the crowd to join in. And that's why it's this is already inauthentic. It's already very clearly trying to spin Cena as the good guy and Miz as the bad, which we talked about as very obvious good guy, bad guy roles here.
But they're not playing them well.
And the really odd thing about this is that it proves Miz's point, where because this proposal happened, and because it was the most predictable thing, it feels like it's this plastic staged thing. And I'm not bitter about this. If they're, again, I've told you this before, if Cena and Nikki Bella are actually engaged and they're happy, awesome. That's not what I'm upset about. I think what's more bothering me is that it was such an expected result, where Miz will get nothing out of this. Him losing does not do him any favors.
No.
And Cena's gone for the next 6 months. He's not wrestling for the next 6 months. He's filming movies or doing something else. So Miz doesn't have anywhere to go. So we'll see on Tuesday for SmackDown Live what happens next. And by we, I most likely mean me.
You do mean you. No
yes,
offense.
I do.
All right. So moving on from there, Triple H versus Seth Rollins. Which, John or Ben, any strong opinions?
Strong opinions. Let me think. It was a really good match. I really loved the storytelling of Seth's knee. Just Triple H focused on nothing but the knee.
That was that. I completely.
God.
That was.
I was waiting for you to say something to remind me what this match was.
So much.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think you forgot the match because it wasn't a good match. I thought it was, and I think you would agree with it. I think you forgot about it because everything else after it just kind of slowed it down to a crawl.
We'll talk about that afterwards.
I mean, we'll get to it when we get to it. This match, I think, went on a little too long for its purposes.
I'll agree, yeah.
You have someone who's in theory injured, and so he should be walking slower and doing moves slower, but even then the pace felt a little bit draggy. If we can, and this is something you two will have many strong opinions on, can we rewind just a smidge to the entrances of both wrestlers? Because you had some very strong opinions about this introduction.
Care to talk about that Triple H introduction?
Which
remember that wonderful police
escort? Okay, so first of all, Triple H's introduction starts off it starts off okay. Because what it starts off with is this video thing where it's him talking about the duality of him as a professional and the demon inside of him that he doesn't want to let out. And they did some cool video work with that. But then it cuts to the real world and you have a situation where something that might look really cool in your head ends up being the lamest fucking thing.
Yep.
You have Triple H with a police escort of motorcycles, like 5 or 6 motorcycles,
six motorcycles
in front of him, going down the ramp, and Triple H is on his motor trike with his wife, and he's like all decked out in leather and all these like spangles.
Spangles.
He's going
but then the kicker of this, like, you've got that picture in your head. You got the picture in your head.
Yep.
Imagine him going down that ramp on a motorcycle and a convoy of police, and they're going 3 miles per hour.
Come on, this ramp is about what, like 30 degrees? 30. It's a pretty steep ramp for that purpose. But yeah, it's 5 fucking miles an hour.
But it's like a perfect example of an idea you have that sounds like a really cool idea, but the reality, the payoff, is just not nearly as cool as you think it's going to be.
He looked like we came up with numerous different comments.
I believe you said that Triple H was the living embodiment of
a midlife crisis.
Yes, that was mine.
Yes.
You called him the leader of the parade of Wrestleville. And I can't remember what Ben's was.
No, I started the parade thing, and you're like, yeah, he's the mayor of Wrestleville. And I was like, I am in love with
And
this.
then we harped on that for a solid a solid minute as this is happening, and we're just like, oh, that's him waving to the fire department. Yes, hello.
I remember saying this. If he had a bag of candy and was throwing it to people, and there was a fire truck going, like it would literally be my hometown parade. Like
it looked so amazing.
no, it was dumb because it's just these blaring police sirens going 3 miles an hour around the 20-foot by 20-foot ring.
Keep in mind, the game is blasting the entire time. The game,
which is a song recorded by Motorhead,
and it's like the most metal thing. It's time to play the game, and you're just like, this is awesome. I'm so down with. Oh god damn it, this is what we're doing today.
Oh god.
And instead of what should be the most totally awesome intro ever, you get like the smallest, shittiest parade.
He couldn't have come in being hauled in by like people on like an Egyptian emperor style, on like an Egyptian pharaoh style, thrown with the helm on. Would have been awesome.
Yeah, dude, full on like Conan the Barbarian kind of shit.
Oh, so his previous WrestleMania entrances have been baller. They've been so much better than this nonsense. It's look, Lenny is dead again. Lenny, my bad. Look, it doesn't matter. He's dead. It's fine.
You're also not wrong.
Look, you can edit it in post. John can edit it in post. I'm not doing it.
No, we don't touch the editing.
No.
John, note to self: insert Ben saying "Lemmy" 5 times in a row. Just to make up for the Lemmy.
Lemmy. John, this is a note from Ben. Don't edit any of this.
Anyway.
Lemmy.
So, I mean, we can go, here's the thing. We're going to get super bogged down if we start harping on intros like this.
Yeah. No, that one just took the cake.
No, this one needed to be talked about.
It was the epitome of
bad. There is one other intro I want to talk about, but that's later.
We'll get to it when we get to it.
Anyway,
let's go. Yeah, back into the match.
Rollins gets his knee harped on a shitload. Stephanie McMahon cheats. Triple H cheats. A lot of people cheat and punch each other in the face.
John did not care for Stephanie McMahon at all in this match. There's at least 3 or 4 times you may have said it under your breath, not knowing you were saying it out loud. I'd be like, "Can you please give a shit?" Like,
oh yeah.
John was harping on the acting real bad.
Okay, so if I'm forgetting anything, it's because this feels like an entire day ago. At this point.
No, seriously.
We did start this when there was daylight.
Yeah. We've been at this since 4. Everybody.
Yeah. So
it's 10 right now.
So Triple H's wife clearly is not the world's greatest actor. Like she is trying to be like, yeah, kick his ass, but it sounds like that. Like, yeah, kick his ass.
And she's supposed to be the leader of the company, and she just does not care.
Again,
which, by the way, her finale moment was hilarious of accidentally getting head-butted by her husband into Chekhov's table, which John totally called.
Table.
Yes.
There was a table that Seth Rollins just randomly sets up midway through the match, and John says out loud, "You don't set up a table for no reason." And then at the end of the match, Stephanie McMahon accidentally gets headbutted by her, at that point, unconscious husband into the table, and the table breaks in half, and John's just like, "I knew it!" And I have now turned it Chekhov's table.
Yeah.
Because it was set up in the first act and used in the third.
I love it.
God, that headbutt was stupid.
That headbutt was real, though.
It just looked like someone blew wind at her, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm made out of nothing, and then fell onto a
For
table.
the leader of the company, she is not very good at this.
Yeah, she's not good on her feet.
That's one really good thing about Vince McMahon from back in the day is you can still use GIFs of him chewing the scenery like nobody's business, and oh my god, it's amazing.
Well, I mean, here's the bit. Like, again, you don't know this because you don't watch it as much, but like Stephanie in her like week-to-week role is actually like a really powerful woman. She's a really strong figurehead.
Yeah.
And normally her acting and her passion and her support for Triple H is a lot more like prominent and vocal and honestly deeper. Like it's this one, so like yay! It's like what the fuck was that?
Like who replaced this character with like a terrible actor? What happened to the real Stephanie?
Yeah,
McMahon?
it felt like she gave away that Triple H was going to lose. And if you watch this outside of a vacuum, you would know that Triple H should lose.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't a surprise to me, or the first time I watched it with any of the people I watched it with. But it still kind of was like, man, like give it away that it's just not going to happen.
By the way, side note, you noticed we haven't talked about Seth Rollins at all because he has no character. He's just fucking there.
So yeah, I can get very, very quick backstory is that he was a former member of the Shield, he was a heel, and he was a champion for a very long time. Had to vacate the title because of a knee injury, because it's the storyline. Legitimate knee injury.
Yeah.
Comes back from knee injury and does really well, is in some matches. And he's trying to come back as the babyface, as the good guy, and they're just not playing the role very well.
Yeah.
Like, the writing for him is awful. It's just not great. Excuse me. Right. It's just not stellar. And then he gets re-injured. He gets re-injured in this whole thing.
Uh-huh.
And then, yeah, so that happens. And there's no character to really build around him. He's a fantastic wrestler. He's really good.
The fight was actually probably one of the best all night.
But you're right. It's interesting because I got to hearing your opinions in a vacuum is fascinating to me because you agree with a lot of stuff and you don't even know the background of a lot of the stuff. Which I love it because it kind of confirms my like cynicism that like I'm not wrong, it's actually poorly written.
Yeah, no, you're not. Also, other side note before we continue. So everybody has like a weird body part that when injured they find really, really like brutally painful. I happen to be knees. And watching Rollins' knee get bashed in for like 10 minutes really sucked to watch.
This match should have been 10 minutes and it wasn't.
Yeah, that was probably like 20 to be realistic.
Easy 20.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
Moving
on. Let's not spend 20 minutes talking about that.
Because they didn't spend 20 minutes on the next 3 matches combined.
Let's get to my least favorite match of the night. Sorry to say.
The one that they kind of had been building up for a while.
This is again next to Owens and Jericho. This is my most excited match. This is one that had a storyline behind it, had some real passion.
I think even in the last episode you were talking about how hyped you were for this
I
one.
love this match on paper. This is one of the like you have that theoretical questions like if you could take a time machine and like or erase one memory of a thing and you wanted to like redo it. A lot of people would say like I want to watch Star Wars for the first time again, or I want to do this for the first time again. I want to rewind time to not see this match and then skip to the next match.
Yeah.
It was just not. Oh, this ruined a lot. This ruined my mood.
For reference, you guys, this was Bray Wyatt, Bog Wizard, versus Randy Orton, the Apex Predator.
The Apex Predator, the Viper, the 1,000 nicknames that Andrew hates.
With the 1,000-year door.
With his really, really glitchy snake intro.
Yes, let's talk intros real fast.
That is the other intro I want to just take a moment to talk about.
So for reference, John is an animator, everybody.
Well, I'm not a professional animator. I did study animation.
Exactly.
And I also know a thing or two about video production and a lot of other stuff that this ties into. So
John the Bashful.
I'm trying to be a little bit more forthcoming. This was Randy Orton, right? Randy Orton.
Yes, Randy Orton.
Randy Orton is walking down the ramp, and they've got this like snake, this viper that's underneath him, slithering along, animating underneath his feet.
Which is once again cool conceptually.
Yeah, a very good idea. The animation is great, except for the fact that it's apparently trying to track his footfalls down the ramp, and I don't know how they were trying to accomplish it, but they did the dumbest possible thing because they either spent a lot of money on like sensors in the floorboards that can detect his footprints and would just like jump the image forward, so you get this jerky snake going down the thing, or they had someone like manually dragging it down. It looks awful. All you have to do for something like that is just have a timed animation that is synced up to the average walk speed of Randy Orton. This takes like no time to put together, and just have it scroll at a solid pace down the ramp while he's walking, and just let him know that during your walk, just don't stop. Or if you are going to stop, let us know where you're going to stop so we can program that in.
Keep in mind, because of how long the walkway was from the opening, what is that? What would you call that term-wise?
What do you term-wise? Oh, you're talking about
from the gate to the ring?
From the gate to the actual ring.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Is a solid, how long was it for this one?
I would honestly estimate somewhere between 0.15 and 1/5 of a mile.
So it's just as
No.
Okay, fine.
It was about half length of a football field.
That's still a good amount of distance.
Regardless, that is still a glitchy ass looking snake following Randy Orton for a very long cut of time, with myself, John, and Ben just staring in awe, being like, "That looks awful." And that, because they kept on that shot for a while, we're all like, why do they keep showing this? This looks terrible.
To harp on John's point a little bit, you were just saying, like, it could either be sensors or it could be done manually. $100 says it was done manually. Easy. It's some guy hitting the down arrow key on the computer, like, all right, down 10, down 10 pixels, down 10 pixels, down 10. And it looked really bad, because at some point, Randy stops. And someone hits the key one too many times, so it goes one too many animations further, and then he starts going, and then it starts going, and it just looks bad. An easy solution, besides timing it, is have the snake just come down first already, and just have Randy walk on the back of the snake all the way. Like, there's a million ways to do it that wasn't the way that he did it. That's the entrance. That's just the entrance.
Oh, do we want to talk about the match?
Oh, you bet your ass I want to talk about this match.
No, I was going to say, because we could talk about the match for a longer period of time than the actual match was.
Oh, my God.
Yes, you have...
Ben, just take the floor.
God damn it. Okay,
Ben,
fine.
you got this.
Yes, so the match I was super excited for.
We're going to lay down.
Oh.
We're going to take a second. Hang on. Go for it.
I'll wake you up when, 6 o'clock in the morning.
You go, girl.
Lol.
All right, take it.
Right. Anywho, so it's Bray Wyatt and it's Randy Orton. And it starts off... It doesn't even start off that great, to be quite honest. It starts off like it feels already like a semi-rush match. Where both wrestlers tend to be really good, but for some reason the chemistry wasn't there. I feel like just a lot of miscommunication. They kept trying to hit finishers, and like each one kept getting out of it, which was fine. But the thing that really upset me, besides just kind of a really jank wrestling match, like they both put on way better matches in the past, is that Bray Wyatt would go to the corner, and he would grab the ropes, and he would bend over backwards. That's his signature like crab spider walk thing. And then the camera would cut to the very top. And Randy Orton would be on the ground from some maneuver. And there'd be some creepy images of maggots, or creepy images of worms, or creepy images of cockroaches, like taking up on a projector screen, like on the canvas of the ring. And I remember, I love this phrase, someone commented, it's like, yeah, like, Bray Wyatt got the ability of Microsoft PowerPoint. And nothing happens, because usually when he sets up that maneuver, it's actually for his finisher. It's usually to set up Sister Abigail, which is his finishing move. He bends over backwards, he falls over, turns 180 degrees, falls over, and then like crawls or like kind of like saunters up to the opponent, grabs him by the neck, kisses him on the forehead, twists him around, finish. That's what it's supposed to be.
That is super bizarre.
Then you wouldn't know that's what's supposed to happen, right? Yeah. Because that didn't fucking happen.
So what you're telling me is he's essentially the Voldo of WWE.
I was just about to make a Voldo reference, actually. That was exactly where my brain was going. I'm like, yeah, come to think of it, Voldo, James.
Yeah, fat Voldo. Like it's...
Once again, Louisiana Bog Wizard, which is also Voldo.
But
I'm fine with
right,
this.
so he does a bit of everything. The projections happen. The crowd loves it for the first time, and I did too. It's like, it's kind of neat. That's super cool. Hopefully that isn't dumb. And it got super dumb because he did it,
dumb.
And then nothing happens afterward. No finish attempts, no anything. He just Randy Orton gets back up. It's like, all right, we're back at it. Like we're doing it again. It's like
my favorite part.
They're playing it as like a scare tactic, even though it's not. Like we talked about this mid-show. Like that was the one moment where our suspension of disbelief was like, he can't see that. But like, there's no way he can see that.
Right.
And like, I love that the first time it happened. The lights go back on, and
everything's back to normal.
The lights go back on, and Randy Orton isn't even in the ring anymore. He rolled off the edge of it, and all the announcer's like, "Oh, he got out. Well, I would have got out there too."
They like try and play it as if it's like, yeah, that was super scary. It's like, nah, I mean, that was weird.
Yeah, that's like when your aunt tries to make a haunted house or something like that.
There was just nothing happened.
Yeah, it's like, did you guys ever have, like, during Halloween, like, there is a bowl of candy and there is a hand in it, and if you reached in, a sensor would trigger the hand to grab you? Yeah, that thing. Yeah. That was what this match felt like.
It was freaky once and then never again.
Exactly. That's literally what it was. It was...
Oh, and then Ben, how did it end?
Oh, how did it end? Oh, good Lord. Because if you blinked, you wouldn't know how it ended.
No, I think I blinked and I didn't know
how it ended. No, you didn't. You were on your phone and you looked up and it was like, oh, it's over. Because what happened is that out of, like, look, I get the gig is out of nowhere, the RKO. I get it. This one is legitimately just like some half-assed RKO. Usually, like, in these big matches, it actually comes out of, it's a really brilliant reversal from a different move, from like a top rope, or someone did like flippy shit and just countered it. No, Randy just stands up, jumps, hit the RKO, falls. Like, no defense, no transition into it.
And then that was it. Bray was just
no
done.
Transition out of it. It was just like he hits it and it just like falls backwards. Like, it doesn't go even for a pin. It just kind of like lands on him. It's not from exhaustion. It's out of laziness.
I was making jokes about this when we wanted to look this up. I genuinely think they may have accidentally concussed Bray and they need to end the match as soon as possible.
Yeah, I didn't think of this when I first saw it, but now that I watched it back, I was like, maybe? Like, it just seemed like it ended randomly for
abrupt.
No reason.
Well, and even at the end of the match, after the RKO happened, that's what. Yeah. Anyway,
you're right.
Orton is literally just kind of sitting on his butt on the mat, looking around, like, "Yep, I did that thing." And then the match is over.
That's pretty much what it was.
Like, even he was surprised, which is why I'm wondering maybe there was something. Honestly, they could have been speeding up stuff, but like, why would you speed up?
I mean, if they weren't speeding it up now, they will. Oh, good Lord, we watched it. You thought you would have watched it 5 times fast.
Regardless,
later,
we're harping on this
later.
one. We're harping on this one. I think a bit too much. It was super frustrating. Nothing happened, and especially according to you, for all the build up, like. Nothing occurred and nothing was gained.
Like, Bray Wyatt was stationed to be the next Undertaker. He was supposed to be the next scary guy.
Yeah.
And after he got the title belt, finally he got the fucking title belt. This is supposed to be the era of Wyatt. It's supposed to be like the time where no one's gonna touch this fucker. Because he beat John Cena clean, and then he won the belt in an elimination chamber. Yep. And then he beat Cena clean. No cheating, no bullshit. He did it perfectly. And then he loses it on a random... It felt just kind of like a throwaway match.
Yeah, it felt like some kind of betrayal towards that, which was a little bit angering.
And to kind of transition us to the next match, this upset me on an organizational front, because why would the WWE title match come before the Raw match?
Yeah, there were 3 more matches after this match.
No, sorry, you're right, 3. Felt like 4, but it's 3.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Well, we might be forgetting one somewhere.
No, we're not. I guarantee. Oh, we kind of are, because there's a Pitbull concert that we skipped.
Yeah, that counts as a match.
Here's the bit, and look, every WrestleMania has a concert, but I don't want a concert in my WrestleMania. I want wrestling in my WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's the same reason I got pissed off that Cena proposed to Nikki in my WrestleMania. I don't want romance in my WrestleMania. I want wrestling in my WrestleMania.
I really did want New Day to just come out and beat the crap out of Pitbull. That would have been awesome. You just get a trombone slide just bashing Pitbull in the face.
I'm sad that New Day didn't show up more than they did.
No, we were talking about this where it's like maybe we skipped it because we were trying to fast forward through stuff. But like,
we skipped it once. We skipped when they announced the attendance.
But like the hosts,
which was a 2-second thing.
So but like the hosts, New Day, who are, from what I can tell, genuinely very entertaining guys.
Super entertaining.
Yeah, and just happy to be there.
Yeah, they were the most happy of just like, yeah, we're here, we're enjoying every second of this.
It was great.
It was weird.
They were colorful and flamboyant and just charismatic. Awesome. They're wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And just nothing. I was expecting like backstage interviews or something more than just like, we're opening. Here's the Hardy Boys, which was super cool. That was an awesome swerve. I loved it. And then the attendance record. That was it. I was expecting something.
Which we'll talk about in the final thoughts. Let's just plow our way through the last of these matches.
Yeah, let's get through it.
So Goldberg-Lesnar was actually, to me, probably the most, and John was talking about this, where you were watching it and your opening statement to that was, oh, this is real wrestling now.
Yeah. No, because like the moment that match started, they just started, well, first of all, they got a little out of hand. They just kept suplexing each other.
Oh no, it was Lesnar like triple suplexing Goldberg.
Yeah.
From the get go.
And Goldberg suplexed Lesnar as well.
And then arrowed him into a fucking barricade.
Oh, the
but-
terminology is killing me, but I'll let it go.
But the thing is, it was a lot of like actual fighting. Like they were getting knocked down and getting right back up and going back at it. It wasn't like a lot of the rest of for pacing and all that for a lot of the other matches. I understand, but a lot of the other matches, like you get knocked down, you're going to be down for like about 30 seconds.
There were a lot more dramatics behind it, and for
Yeah.
this it was hit after hit after hit after hit, and just keep going.
So trivia for you guys.
Yeah.
How many unique maneuvers were there between both competitors?
Oh, probably very few.
You can count it on one hand.
Yeah, I'm not shocked.
4.
Yep.
It was from Goldberg. It was the spear and the jackhammer. From Lesnar, it was a German suplex and the F5.
Yep.
That's fine.
It was also like a 5-minute match tops.
It was somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes.
It was a blitz of a match.
Which is fine. That's actually perfect for their capabilities. Because Goldberg, while being like this kind of presence, is not in the greatest athletic shape of all time.
No.
Like cardio-wise, he's built
I was
better
gonna
than
say,
he was.
he
I think in his
still looks like
WWE
he
days.
hurt your
His
fist.
cardio kind of sucks. And he's
Which,
also
I mean,
not.
he's 50.
He's not
like,
used
fine.
to. He's also not used to taking bumps in the ring. Like again, like getting like thrown. He got German suplex 10 times.
Ugh.
That doesn't feel good once.
No.
Much less 10 other times.
And much less from Brock Lesnar, like not fucking helping.
Yeah, but again, so the match was short, but it was, I thought, close to perfect length. I would have. That's
No, that was okay.
Wonderful, great, to the
And
point.
their intro was epic. The guy who was the manager for Lesnar
Paul
did an
Heyman.
exceptional job of selling the match and doing his intro was great.
Yep.
I really enjoyed it, and it was very much like, I guess, calling back to John's thing, what I think of when I think of wrestling, where it was just, not to say not the rest wasn't wrestling or anything ridiculous like that. It just felt a lot more of like what my brain thinks of when I think of the word professional wrestling.
It was almost like what we were watching was a live action highlights reel of a match.
Kind of, yeah.
And the way I think this will help kind of maybe put this into some terminology or kind of split it a little bit. So when you thought of, like, when you say, like, this reminds you of wrestling, is what I think of wrestling is. Like, I think it's, you think of, like, the very physical, brutal contact.
Yeah.
And whereas when I think of wrestling, it's like, it's this theatrics, it's the storytelling.
Sure.
It splits that divide really well.
And it can be both. And
Oh,
I
it
would,
absolutely
I would
can.
think that's why I think out of all of them so far, why I like the Rollins Triple H match so much is because it was a good combo of like the Lesnar Goldberg heavy hits combined with a lot of the storyline stuff,
Right.
where it felt like, oh, okay, this is a good balance between the two that I can manage.
Yeah, this match was very much like, fuck the theatrics, we're just going
We're
to hit
just
each
hitting
other.
each other.
And they did 100% in 0, and that's fine.
They hit
Perfect.
each other real goddamn hard. It looked really freaking painful, and it was awesome for
Yes.
the time it was there.
This was a nice refresher out of the kind of lackluster last half of the show.
Especially because of the Bray Orton match before, it was good to just be like, okay, we just need something. We need a palate cleanser for this.
And it was.
And then the other matches
Speaking
happened.
of palate cleansers, and you're probably wondering, why was this match on next? Or why was this match on the card? And for context, it's the SmackDown Women's Championship match.
Yeah.
Which had, and I'm going to forget someone, and I'm sorry, Carmella.
Yep.
If you, fun fact, you don't have to say it out loud, but if I say a name, can you pit the wrestler's face to that name?
I can for that one, yes.
Okay, let's see. So Carmella,
Yep.
Mickie James.
Nope.
Okay, got it. Becky Lynch,
Nope.
Natalia,
Yep.
and Naomi,
Yep.
and Alexa Bliss.
Yep.
Perfect. So 5 out of 6, not bad.
I got 2.
I got 4. I think I got 4 out of 6 on that one. I think I missed 2. Whatever.
So I have opinions on this.
To be
but,
fair, names have never been my strong suit.
well, to be fair, you wouldn't expect to know a damn thing about anyone because there's no video package for this.
No.
I can blame this partially on just no build up for this match because
Sure.
literally the build up for this match, like, any available women will compete for the title. That was just it. There
That
was
is
no real
lame.
storyline for it. It was kind of not. SmackDown is a really strong writing
I mean,
show,
that's kinda
but this
like-
one dropped the ball.
That's essentially the setup for the show The Bachelor, isn't it?
So this match went a grand total between 5 and 6 minutes. I think it was around 5 minutes 30 for a 6-person match.
They were just fucking gone. They were there and then gone.
Well, it's what it was supposed to be, the palate cleanser for the finale match, which we'll talk about. But I wanted to touch on this very briefly.
Yeah.
because all 6 of these women have actually really good talents, and they've put on some stellar matches in the past.
Admittedly, this one was still pretty decent. The moves that were happening were entertaining. It was done well.
It was just done at 5 times the normal pace.
Right.
Yeah, we just upped the speed.
No, there's 2 parts of this that was dumb. There's 2 moves of this that really drove me up a wall.
Sure.
One of them and it's the only one I remember off the top of my head, to be fair. It's that fucking Natalia sharpshooter 2 people at one time move. Remember? She stacked 2 people at once.
Oh, that was so terrible.
And she just like tripped and fell and like awkwardly held their ankles and pretended to do something.
That was so stupid.
It was weird. Wasn't the greatest.
Yeah. And then there was I remember I was joking about that. I'm like, that's so stupid. You're like, oh, that's not even going full dumb yet.
Oh yeah.
And then there was like the weird attempted double.
Oh, there's a double sunset flip.
What?
Okay, it's a maneuver called a sunset flip.
No, I know, but it's just like, how is this considered reasonable?
Yeah, it's one of those, we talked about it last episode. You pay your ticket price, you pay your suspension and disbelief price.
Sure.
That one's one of those like, maybe can I have half of it back?
Can
as
I
a
get
refund?
some of those?
Like, I know we're toward the end of the match, but a little bit of a refund. Like, it was a bit rough. We're on the edges. But Naomi won. Hometown Hero won.
Yep.
Everyone liked it. No one didn't like it. People wanted it to go on longer, I think. Maybe.
Yeah. I would have liked a video package to understand what
Video
was
package would
going
have been
on.
dope.
Anyway.
This is where entrances were 10 seconds long.
Yep. Well, they were entering
on other
people's
opponents'
intro. You mentioned that, and you're like, "This is so angering to me as a fan right now."
Well, no, because we had this conversation during the match and throughout the show about like this is when women have started to be legitimized and started to be respected as competitors.
Yeah, you said that was only between like the past 2-3 years.
2-3 years.
This is like
Not even
really recent.
And these are all really top tier women. And it's just one of those like, hey, you get your 5 minutes, and it's like, oh, we haven't solved the problem, have we?
No.
Like, it's a top title for women for that show, and you're gonna give them 5 minutes
Because we had to see Roman Reigns get like punched in the face even more times.
Well, let's transition into it.
I
Since
mean,
we're here.
so we're here, we're at the finale, and at this point, John and I are just considering jumping out my window as an option.
Oh. Well, the patio's only a floor or 2 down.
Nah, it's not that bad. No, but like I'm kidding. But at this point, it has been. But like seriously, it's been exhausting. Like it's been.
Yeah. So at this point, we are 4.5 hours into a 5-hour show, which should have been a 4-hour show. They had it actually booked from 4 to 8.
Yep.
And then it just bled and bled and bled.
And then we watched 30 minutes of Roman Reigns getting punched and punched and punched and tombstoned.
It was 30 minutes of slow ass kicking. Like if the previous match was 5 times the pace, this one is at like watching a podcast at 1/2 the audio. Like it's just not.
I remember
this is agree to disagree. Like it was the slowest ass whooping I have ever seen in my entire life.
John, go ahead.
I felt exhausted watching it. Like I felt like okay, so I'm naming this episode a massive undertaking. Because like think this entire night, like it got to the halfway point, things started getting weird with the wrestling, and then it moved at breakneck speed, and we got to this finale match, which was a person that I don't like, and I understand most people don't like.
Roman Reigns.
Yes, Roman Reigns, the Roman Empire, the person with the
still mad about that name.
This person. They are. I'm just not interested in them at all.
Can I pause you for just a second for 1.5 things? I'm sorry. I'll come back to it. One, when he said the stuff started getting weird, that's when you pointed to Cena proposal, which I think is fantastic. Two, and I want to ask both of you this. So you guys, again, you don't really watch wrestling. What did you think Roman Reigns' character was?
Nothing.
In a vacuum.
He didn't have a character. He was trying to combine bulletproof vest looking SWAT gear with I have to assume, what was it? Oh god. Tattoos of, what was it, Samoan?
He's Samoan.
So Samoan tattoos, and the fact that he's clearly a Samoan guy, with the fact that he's wearing like bulletproof vests and SWAT gear, with the fact that he's named Roman. and is going with the character of Roman Reigns of like a Roman Empire. Yeah, I don't know. He was like this weird mishmash of everything. I couldn't actually figure out if he was heel or face or if I should give a shit. He was just there. He was an entity that existed and was punching The Undertaker. That's literally all I got.
I'm under the impression that he is essentially the professional wrestling equivalent of that person that, who runs with their arms behind them, bent forward.
I've never heard someone compare Roman Reigns to Naruto before.
I was gonna say I was going more for the equivalent of the wrestling version of that old static signal that you'd get on your television that produced white noise, where you're like, it's just kind of there.
See, I thought John was going for more like that person from accounting that is really friendly and you wave hi to her every time you go by her office, but you don't know what her name is.
Pretty much, yeah. That's exactly what I'm going for.
That's actually a very good summary.
I'm glad. I'm amazed that you picked up.
I just didn't care. I couldn't care. I didn't know who he was or why he existed.
So look, I don't want to jump to the ending right away because there's a lot I want to discuss with that. But the match itself was, to be fair, this is really difficult for Roman Reigns and The Undertaker both because Undertaker knows he's on his last legs, damn near proverbially.
So that was the other half of this. It was Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker.
Who is the most famous one of the most famous wrestlers.
He's so famous, I don't even need to tell you who the Undertaker is.
No, to the point where even I know who he was when I wasn't even paying attention to wrestling in my
Let's phrase it like this. It's not Undertaker, it's The Undertaker.
Yeah.
There's no other Undertaker. It's the fucking Undertaker.
Hat, trench coat, satanic magic, tombstones people, done.
Undead zombie. Yeah, you get the whole point.
Yeah, done.
I told you guys this before. If you don't watch wrestling, you know who The Undertaker is.
You are correct.
Fun fact, he made it to the top of Reddit/r/news.
Really?
Yes.
Damn.
After this match. But
anyway, the match was The Undertaker and Roman Reigns just steadily punching each other harder and breaking out heavier and heavier finishing moves to the point where Roman Reigns becomes, according to you, one of the only people to ever kick out of a tombstone.
It's a very protected maneuver, which means that very few people kick out of it. Because to kick out of it means that you're basically saying, this is not good enough for me. And with the result of the match, it makes sense. But it's a lot to. There's one point in the match, and I'm sorry for hogging airways.
No. That's why we brought you on.
I'm passionate.
Yeah.
There's one point in the match, so they're beating each other up, they're exchanging blows, they're doing whatever. But at one point in the match, it just stops, and Undertaker's no longer giving anything back.
No.
But the match still continues for another 8 to 10 minutes on top of that, and it's just Roman literally just punching and hitting an old dude with a chair.
And it's just The Undertaker won't go down, and it becomes, how does Roman hit him harder to make sure that he doesn't get up again? And you're right, it's 8 minutes of him just steadily punching a 50-year-old man in the chest and the face, and it's not working, and then he elbow drops him, and that didn't work, and then he gets a chair and hits him 5 times. That's still not working. And then somehow Roman just wins, and that's the end of it.
Oh, fun fact, Roman wins. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you could have said it. This isn't even falling into spoiler. We are talking about a thing we just watched.
Yeah.
The Undertaker goes down, and there's this whole kind of there was a lot of energy at the beginning for what felt like two very tired people.
What, me and you?
Yeah.
I was actually wondering if you were talking about yourselves or you were talking about
I was leaving it intentionally ambiguous.
Porque no los dos.
Porque no. Sorry, Spanish announce table.
Yeah.
It's a gag that was used in a commercial a while ago, which means why not both?
Right.
Essentially.
Thanks for translating, Andrew.
I don't know Spanish, audience.
No, so the Undertaker. Okay, so I gotta give Roman credit where credit is due. They know what the outcome of this match is going to be. They know going in there that this is the Undertaker retiring and he's going to go down.
Yep.
the thought that must go through someone's mind when they do something like this, and I'm not a person who follows wrestling, but I get this, like how do I kill a god? Like,
yeah, no,
it's
realistically,
it's
that has to be his last thought.
It's not can I? It's like I need to do this, and I'm going to do this. But what does this mean for me? How are people going to react to the fact that I'm now the guy who took down the Undertaker?
Yeah.
So I think the person who has the worst in this match is the gentleman who plays the character of Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because Roman basically kills off someone's childhood, a lot of people's childhood. And people knew this was coming. Like, it wasn't a shock to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things where, like, it happened, and you're just like, you just kind of felt it. And again, I was telling you guys about this when I watched it the first time. Like, it was just heaviness. It wasn't necessarily sadness. It was just kind of one of those, like, that's it. Like, we're it.
Never getting the Undertaker.
And I don't, honestly, like, I don't care for Roman the character. That's not a secret. I think he's a poorly written character, but I'm using my words very carefully because I don't envy. The gentleman's name is Joe. I don't envy Joe, the guy who plays Roman, because I think the rest of his career he's going to get booed to hell. Mm-hmm. He's definitively the most hated person in wrestling right now, and it's not his fault. Like, I don't think he held up the WWE hostage like, hey, I will fight the Undertaker or I'm leaving. Like, that's not the case.
I'm pretty sure the Undertaker probably went to them and were like, find me someone who's willing to take me down.
That's the bit. Like, I can't imagine a lot of people in the back. Like, sure, I bet people dream of like having a match with the Undertaker, but nobody wants to be the guy's like, I don't want to defeat you. Like, I don't want to be the person who ends your fucking career. And yes, it was timed. It wasn't a shocking announcement.
I mean, John and I were making these jokes during the fight where we he looks like an old man. He fights like an old man. And that's not even us making fun of him for being an old guy. It's very clear that he's a very tired man on a stage who can still hit like a fucking truck. But around like halfway through that match, he's clearly just drained. And that's no fault of him. He's 52 and he's been wrestling for 30 years. But man, that felt like a slog after a while.
It was really hard to. So I knew the outcome of this match, obviously, and it was really hard for me to hear those jokes. It was like, oh, you don't know how this is going to go, necessarily.
And I mean, you probably heard us. We pieced it together about like damn near the ending, where we're like, oh shit,
yeah.
We think is he done?
Well, yeah,
and that was John and me having that realization of like, fuck, this is the finale.
Then we stopped making jokes.
They're like, god damn.
There was a point where like after like towards the latter half of the match, there's like the jokes kind of like slowly stopped, and you're just like, man, like you guys were just tired, and that's fair. I was too.
Yeah.
Where it's just one of those like, okay, you've hit him 18 times with a chair, just stop, just pin him, call it a day. And he did. It was kind of an anticlimactic pen, all things considered. Yeah. And then, again, like, so Roman walks out, does his thing, and you guys are, like, getting ready to start the podcast. John's getting the equipment. It's like, hold on, like, we're not through yet, and I want to explain, like, why? But then the lights hit, the music plays, and then it kind of clicks with both of you. It's like, oh, like, that's it. Like, that's
it's over.
We're ending on that. Like,
which, admittedly, was a very, very tasteful, brilliant send-off to the Undertaker at the end.
Says this fucker who wanted the demon to come out of the Undertaker and possess
wanted
Roman.
that to happen.
I mean, that would have been interesting.
Also,
the word you're looking for is blasphemy.
Also, here's the problem, and this is why, I mean, going into closing thoughts, reasons why I should never write for wrestling, is the fact that those things that seem really interesting and would be, to me, fascinating character growth, that would be like amazingly ridiculous, like, oh, let's just fucking hand the title, are obvious blasphemy to wrestling fans, because those aren't just the characters, those are the people behind it, and that would be offensive for that person to hand off that, like, their moniker to someone else, which, like, fair, I understand that, but this is also why I don't write for wrestling, everybody.
So let's start you with an intern project. Rewrite Triple H's entrance and we'll go from there.
I still want him to come down as hauled by like Egyptian style like slave people carrying him down in a fucking throne with like the helmet and everything. That would have been amazing.
So let me kind of
Reasons why I shouldn't write for wrestling again.
let me kind of wrap it up. Summary, at least this discussion like this.
Yeah.
For the overall show between both of you, the
Yeah.
people in a vacuum. What overall thoughts? What do you think was the best part and the worst part? And those can be plural.
I would say the ladder match was really cool. It was enjoyable, hectic, really well choreographed. Everybody knew what they were doing, and the Hardy Boys introduction, although to me it was obvious that they were going to win, was pretty sweet. And they actually weren't the majority of the fight, which was a good balance. So it made for a good moment.
Yeah.
Despite I think Triple H and Rollins going a bit too long, that was really awesome. I enjoyed the crap out of it. Although the harping on the knee really physically hurt after a while.
Sure.
John, your high moments?
I really enjoyed the Raw women's
The elimination.
The elimination. Yeah, that was really well done. And I was likening it at the time to like an episode of Power Rangers because it really felt like that to me.
That doesn't necessarily need to be a negative thing.
No, let me.
Oh, sorry.
Like, because it felt like even though the person that they were going against wasn't a villain, it was definitely like there was a definite feeling like there was some thought going into like these people need to team up and defeat this force, otherwise they're all going to lose, and then they can worry about their own problems after that. It just felt interesting to me. Like that was sort of like, I don't know if that's what they were actually going for, but it felt more interesting to me at the time. Low point, it's really just like once we hit towards the middle, like 5 hours is a lot of wrestling. 5 hours is that's too much wrestling.
Even for me, that's a lot.
And I seriously considered postponing recording this podcast until Wednesday or whatever, another day.
Yeah. I think we just wanted to get it out of our system.
I wanted it to be fresh. I wanted us to get out of our system, and also like I want people to know this is what it sounds like when you have three people who are just very tired.
I will say, I think John was talking about this earlier, which I think he's entirely right. You can pinpoint where things really started to drag right after that ladder match. The second the Cena match happened is where things start to go way too long. The fights are losing in quality, and things just start to drag. The second the Cena proposal match started, it was just like, oh, we're still going to be here for a while. I think the ladder match was the last time I was genuinely like, this is awesome. And then it just started to go really downhill.
And that being said, even during the low points, there were still like cool things that happened. There was still entertainment to be had. It stopped being enjoyable.
Yeah. Like the Goldberg match was super cool. I still like the Triple H Rollins match, even though I thought it went over long. Like, there was some good stuff in there, but like the Orton Wyatt match really was kind of boring to watch. The SmackDown women really got screwed, which sucked. And then that just watching Roman Reigns repeatedly wreck a like 50-year-old man in the ring was just like, that stopped being enjoyable.
How about you, Ben? What were your final thoughts on WrestleMania 33?
Sure. So I guess I'll take my high and low real quick and then kind of sum it. For me, I'll start with low because I like ending on a good note. For me, I mean it's close to a tie. Like it's the Orton and Bray match really just kind of it bummed me out. I was disappointed on. I'm a big fan of horror and macabre. They're cool and creepy shit. And to me, Wyatt is the bridge to start introducing that into wrestling. And I was so disappointed that they did this fucking projector trick. I thought, again, cool the first time, but it had no impact. It literally did nothing. That was kind of dumb. And then just the match itself was really bland, and it just ended suddenly, and there's just no development. Like, I'm kind of dreading tuning in tomorrow to SmackDown Live to see what happens next. If I see Bray be like, I'm still the Eater of Worlds, and I'm just like, shut up. Like, you're You had your chance.
Like, you got wrecked, no one takes you seriously anymore.
Here's the bit in my mind. You're the Louisiana swamp monster. You set up a fucking projector on the top of the ring and do some spooky shit. Like, god damn. Like, yes,
that's
I
the
know it's
best
not.
you
I know
got.
it's not his fault. I know he didn't do that.
Of course not.
Damn it! Like, so many things you could have done with that.
Yeah.
Tied for negatives because I'm just gonna go hard on the cynicism. Again, the Miz carried that Cena match. And I'm not saying Cena was a bad wrestler in that case, but it fell into the typical like 5 moves of doom. It was 95% opponent, 5% Cena gets the win. And he proposes, and for me, like, I'm a cynic. Like, I don't think that proposal was genuine or authentic. I think it happened previously or in the back, which is, again, fine. I'm not shitting on the relationship. I don't care. It doesn't have a place at WrestleMania, especially considering that the SmackDown Women's Championship match was 5 minutes. Stop it. Stop. Highlights, good things. I love the Orange Jericho match. It was the second match I was looking forward to. It was stellar. It was good storytelling. It was just quality wrestling. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't over the top. It was very little in the way of like weaponry. It was just straight like, I'm going to beat you up and do my job.
I think your quote from before is it was just 2 dudes hitting each other until one of them stopped.
It was 2 dudes that fucking hated each other, and they hit each other until one stopped. You were absolutely correct, and that's, to me, is just quality, just to the point storytelling. Fantastic, great. And then as a minor like second place trophy would be the AJ Shane match, just because I thought it's going to be like par to above par. And it was actually Shane held his own, AJ held his own. There was trash cans for some reason,
which we forgot to make fun of.
Wasn't expecting that in the opening match.
That was when he came up with the wrestling what was it? The wrestling prop fabrication company joke that ran for a solid 5 hours of us making fun of a bunch of people just like making tables that specifically broke in half and like really terrible ladders.
Mm-hmm. So for me, as a complete summary, again, if the first half of it, stellar, would watch again. Mm-hmm. The second half would be very nitpicky segments that I would be like, I want to watch this just for this small part or something to that capacity. I'm excited to see where it goes, as I always am, because I think there's room to improve.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm just curious to see where a lot of these characters go next, if at all. And a lot of people from the lower division are coming up, and they're some of my favorite wrestlers. So in the future, wrestling's gonna be great. I guess I kind of want to open it up to you guys as John is laying on the floor, just beat fucking tired.
I was going to say, I guess since we're all exhausted, let's go with the final question that we asked you back when we were watching Star Wars, which is...
Am I going to force you guys to watch another
No.
WrestleMania?
Are we going to watch wrestling again? After watching this, John, are you and I interested enough as people to sit down and watch an episode of Raw or SmackDown?
If I promise it's not 5 hours.
Jesus Christ,
well,
never
I mean, okay, so this is... I have gone to wrestling with Ben live.
Yes.
And occasionally I'll see him streaming wrestling, and I'll sit down and I'll watch it with him. So yeah, I'm going to keep watching wrestling. I'm obviously not into it as much as Ben is.
Yeah.
But I still, like... It's sort of like, I was talking to my brother, if I may.
I was talking to my brother the other day. And
John set up like The Undertaker. It was great.
It was pretty solid.
I was talking to my brother the other day, and I was asking him about NASCAR because I always thought he was in a NASCAR, but he started talking to me about how he doesn't really follow it anymore, but he still watches it, even though he's not really into it, because it's something to talk about with his father-in-law and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, it's not that I don't like it, it's just that I'm not as into it as I used to be. And I kind of feel that way about wrestling. I'm never going to be into it the same way you are.
Sure.
But I'm interested in watching it still.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so I'm not going to be following all the extra stuff, but I'll watch episodes if it's on. Like,
yeah.
Andrew, same.
I guess for me, I'm like, for example, we were talking about this before we started recording, where it's like I'm actually really interested to see what happened specifically now that I have an entryway for the plot to figure out what happened on, like, for example, today's Raw. I'm not gonna sit down and watch the full 3 hours, but I might read a summary or like try and figure out what the hell's going on, because like this sounds interesting.
If you have Hulu, it cuts it down to 90 minutes.
Ooh. Actually, sounds pretty solid. Might have to do that. I think honestly, guessing by John Mai's reaction right there, it's really just a time commitment.
Oh, it
like,
is.
Like that was a sucker punch. Like I am so tired right now.
Even
and
for
I
me,
don't know why.
It was 5 hours, which is, in my opinion, 2 hours too many. I think it should be a quality 3 hour. Put the best people, the best titles.
No Pitbull, no proposal.
We didn't even see people hitting. We were still tired.
Well, here's the thing, guys. We're even going a little long on this recording.
Yeah.
So let's just cut it here.
I agree.
I'm going to bed, and I'm John Gardner.
Bye, everybody.
Are we not saying our names now? Is that?
Yeah, you can.
I'm Ben.
Yeah,
It's been blast.
It's been real.
God, I'm fucking tired.
We're gonna go sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.